I'd like to call this meeting of the the Policy Review Committee for Monday, February 24th to meet, and ask everyone to please rise. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have roll call, please?
George Andrews,
Present.
Jason Gulstrand,
Present.
Keith Carcutt,
Present.
and Debbie Kulik is absent at this time.
All right. Motion, yeah, here it is. Need a motion to adopt the agenda for February 24th with members of the committee reserving the right to add to the agenda and take further action as the committee deems appropriate.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Motion to approve the minutes as presented for the January 27, 2025 meeting.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then policies for discussion, we have policy 603. And I get to that page, there's. And here it is. I think the only thing we're changing, the way it looks, is in order to afford the board an opportunity to timely adopt a resolution pursuant to section 311, indicating that it will not raise the rate of any tax by more than its index when applicable. This is a budget preparation policy. Is there, that's all we're changing?
Correct. Yeah, this was presented to you guys back in November, and I apologize for my oversight on the language piece of this. This was my oversight, and I apologize to the committee for this. We revised this back in November as well to change the business manager to CFO as well. So if you guys are looking at this saying we looked at this already once before, we did. And we didn't change the language that reflects this further language. So when we accept tax equity payment as well, we will not be able to raise the taxes above the Ackman index anyway. So this is just giving you the opportunity to get the information from myself and or the superintendent prior to 110 days before the primary election. So that's why we're presenting this language as the adoption to clarify the language a little bit, make it a little more clear in the policy for you guys. But I apologize for not I apologize for not clarifying this language a little bit more clear back in November. It just looked.
I thought we looked at this before. Any discussion on that?
Yeah, I have a discussion, not on his part, but I have a discussion on this policy.
All
Is this where we put in that we should have a workshop to go over the budget beforehand, or is there another policy?
You want to,
I want to have a workshop to go over what the budget,
you want in policy that we're mandating a workshop?
yeah,
Does that, I don't think that warrants a policy.
well, to go over the budget?
That's more procedure.
Well, that's what I'm trying to find, that's what I'm asking.
Isn't
That's
as
a-
needed,
It's just a note that I put in here too. Pardon?
as needed, a workshop as
As,
needed.
yes, or
Rather
as
than
needed.
mandatory,
Huh?
there may be no need for a workshop on some.
Just
things.
one workshop at the beginning of the budget process to see what the line items, budgets are.
So
I would
you,
say as needed, I don't think.
Okay, well,
But you as
I
a-
don't have a problem with that.
you as a school board can direct the CFO and the superintendent. You can mandate us to do that.
We don't need a policy.
We
for
don't
that.
have
You
to
don't,
make
you don't need a
That's what I'm
policy.
asking.
Yeah, you don't need that in
All we have to
policy.
do is say, Dr. Vitale, we want,
Okay, that's
Correct.
why,
You know.
that's why I was asking, yeah.
Yeah,
that's not, I don't think that doesn't require a policy.
Well, that's why I asked. the
If
question.
we require board action, the president on our behalf could speak out to Mr. Bard,
That's
Dr. V, and say,
that's why I
listen, we
asked-
wanna.
That's why I asked. the
wanna-
question.
yeah, it was a good question.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I didn't know, when I read this, I
I get it.
put a note here, okay.
Any other discussion on this one? Now, that's the only one we're actually looking at of, thanks, Pete. I think that's good.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I think that's the only one we're looking at that was from now. The rest is all looking back at the 700s to continue our quest through the policies of yesteryear and updating them to today. 701 property facilities planning. it looks like we're adding the board shall engage in short-term, long-term facilities planning in order to meet the ongoing needs of the district's educational programs and operations. Involvement of the board, staff, community, businesses and parents and guardians is an important part of this process. We referenced the law on that next one. We added or designee to the superintendent's responsibility in order to inform the board of the school district's future needs. The superintendent or designee shall, and then what they shall do. We struck the words, the number of resident students attending private schools. And it appears added enrollment projections.
So we did that just because our enrollment projections include all of that information.
Correct. Okay, so an enrollment, enrollment projections, yeah, 'cause I was wondering why we're only singling out resident, why that was in it. Anyway. We're adding report to the board on the enrollment by grades during the school year. We're also skipping down and instead of saying the word assigned, we're saying enrolled or belongs. The board may legally required to operate the district efficiently and equitably. We're referencing law. Another reference of law in the next paragraph. Basically, this is just cleaning up policy.
Except I think we need an addition. Where
Okay.
It says, the board, shouldn't we say the board or designated committee?
What reference are you talking to,
In the
George?
very first paragraph. Which is, second paragraph, the board shall engage, shouldn't be or designated committee, and then we bring it to the board. We have the properties and facility committee that does maintenance stuff.
Yeah, but the policy, the property facilities committee is the board.
Mhm.
In reality, it's
It's board members, it's not the whole board, it's a committee.
but we can,
But you don't agree to anything outside of what the board has to have a consensus. So property and facilities makes recommendations
Yeah,
to the
but-
whole board.
We're the first one, property and
Right.
facilities is the first ones that get it, then we bring it to the board.
but in order for it to get to the board, the property and facilities has to talk about
That's
it.
what I'm saying. That's
So
what
it
I'm
really, I don't know if,
I'm
we
just
will-
asking.
oh, no, I
I
accept
to me,
your-
to me, it's a logical one that should be, if the property facilities doesn't recommend it, we're not
But
gonna normally bring it to the
When you
board.
change that language, though, you're taking the authority away from the board as the whole
correct.
and saying only the property and facilities committee can make these decisions.
No, we're not. I don't see how we're taking away from the board.
So if you say a committee of the board shall engage in, you're saying that that's their responsibility.
It
What
is, our-
this-
well, it is. We say no, if we say no, then it stops there.
Correct,
Yeah,
but
right
if
now.
you don't have the authority to approve it, the whole board approves it. So your job is to whittle down what's yes and no. When it goes to yes, then it goes to the whole board.
But this is, I just,
Jason.
but you can
Debbie,
circumvent
do
it
you-
too. yeah.
I
Tell me how we could circumvent
I
it.
kind of feel
We
like.
would start directly to the whole board. So why do we need the properties and facilities committee?
Because
Why
that's
do we
the
need any,
first,
if we
that's
go
the
to,
first
if these
one.
all
Well, in
have to be done
reality-
by the board, why do we need any? committee?
In reality, we really,
We really don't
understand what
need
you're saying,
committees.
we don't need the committees, we
We
can
don't.
just go to the whole board,
That's what-
the committees are making it easier on the whole board to have multiple meetings. To then research to pass on to the board. That's all.
There are districts that don't have committees,
We didn't have committees for a long,
so.
when I first came on here, we did not have.
Yeah.
Right,
committees.
so the committees process through the information,
Yep.
they talk about it, and then they make
Then we bring it to the board, yeah.
recommendations, and then the whole board approves
Yep,
it.
okay.
I
That's
think, Maggie makes a very good point by saying the board, we are the board, George. But the committee
Just
can't
as-
make the decision on behalf of the board, we can only recommend to the
Just
board.
asking for clarification. We
All
got
right.
that. Got it, no problem.
Any other input from Deb or Jason?
That's
All
that's the first look.
Right,
And every board member can sit in on.
and
it.
actually,
They
any
can-
board member can come to
they
that
can
meeting.
know
We
what's
have
going
actually,
on.
Wayne shows up at that meeting. Other people, Wayne usually shows up at this meeting. I don't know where he is.
He's in that one.
Oh, okay. But I'm just saying,
That's fine. that's
we
fine.
can attend meetings and give input.
No,
Mr. Carcutt, it also blends very nicely with what's set forth in policy 5 for organization, where those standing committees are set forth. Because should there ever be a change at the board's desire to rearrange those committees, we would then be hunting for any mention of them in other policies. So the way that it's written now in policy 5 also is very clear that those 3 committees are standing and they report back to the board and provide recommendations for action on any policy items.
Right.
So just so you know, it's referred to again there.
Point taken, George. Point taken. Going on to 700 and 3, which is sanitary management. We are, the first paragraph, we were incorrect. All school district facilities shall be inspected regularly for cleanliness and proper sanitation by the superintendent or designate, director of environmental services and director of grounds. The superintendent or designee shall develop and supervise a program for the cleanliness and sanitary management of the school buildings and facilities, school grounds, and school equipment pursuant to the law, state board regulations and requirements of the local and state boards of health and the Department of Labor and Industry. And then and then adding again in that last paragraph, designate. Basically just, I mean, yeah, I'm glad they put that, because that would be a lot for you to do.
Are we saying that all 3?
That's what, I was gonna ask that.
are
I was gonna ask
required
that.
To do inspections or
I was gonna ask that.
one of the 3?
It's one of the 3,
But
and
it-
they're not directors, they're supervisors.
Is there a
Right.
reason we wouldn't leave it designee and cover that?
Correct. Why do we need
I
that,
don't even really need that at
that
all.
extension? Yeah, so can we strike that out?
Well, that and there's
Just leave
there's
designate.
supervisors and not
So
directors,
it's-
right?
Correct.
It's superintendent
It has to
or
be struck.
Or
or
designate.
designee, and you decide who you want.
Correct.
I'm okay
It might
with
be Mr.
striking,
Moore.
right? Should we, are we okay with striking that?
What?
The words director of environmental services and director of grounds.
That would make sense.
I'm okay with that. It just seemed like there was a lot there. Cause
Well,
then who
well,
looks at
we'd
it?
have to strike director either way because they're.
Well, it's,
They're not
they're not, they're
directors.
super,
Yeah.
right. I was gonna, okay, so did you get that, Deb?
Yes.
Okay. I know she does. She gets more than I think she gets. It's amazing when you read the actual verbatim minutes of what I say and how she can figure out. Yeah, let's let her get that one straight. Okay,
Should we reread it?
704, maintenance, we are striking critical spare parts inventory. Why? Or why don't we want to know what critical spare parts inventory is? Is there a reason for that?
I'm gonna,
I get,
Inventory is inventory.
but if it's critical and we need it
We should.
and we don't have it, then, oh, we didn't have it. I'm just being I mean, we have equipment
we should-
replacement program.
We should at least know what the critical, even though it's a superintendent.
Because the only reason
shall
only reason I
develop
bring that up, yeah, the only reason.
a supervisor maintenance program that which shall include, we should know what the critical spare parts inventory, whether we have them or not, is not as important. We should know what the critical parts are and if they're long lead times.
Well, they should, and it.
They should,
Surely,
Huh?
that's why we hire.
I understand that.
professional people to Understand,
But-
but they should know.
But
Is
yeah, but
that
we,
part
I
of,
don't think I have to tell them they have to.
Description.
but then why are we even delegating the responsibility of what they're supposed to be doing anyway in this
it's
policy?
just a list.
Isn't that a job description?
It's a list that
it
we
would be
would
part of
at least
somebody's
know.
roles and responsibilities.
Right.
it
So
should be.
Right.
And if requested, it should be available
Correct.
regardless of policy.
Yes.
Okay.
They can probably.
But if we say it in policy, we
All right,
they know it's more critical. We put it in policy.
Just
I
more
can understand
words.
that.
If the, huh?
I can understand that, but regardless, they should have and should be able to provide.
The key word is should.
I mean, it doesn't make
I
one,
agree.
I don't think it makes a difference one way or the other, but.
All right, well,
If it's
we'll
in-
make
in the-
sure that they're, if we can just make sure that's in the job description, you know, whatever.
Mr. Forsyth, can you make sure that's part of their roles and responsibilities?
We can do that. Yes, we
All
can
right.
make sure of that. I think the challenge with it is, and I did not strike this, I'm not sure where it was struck. It's likely not present in the current PSBA recommendation is what I believe. And that means many districts would have therefore removed it. with today's supplies and what we have to get for the various components in the district, it wouldn't even be feasible to maintain a critical inventory for each one of the various pieces out there. So therefore, we don't necessarily have that. Most of the supply ordering we also do today is JIT ordering, just in time.
Yeah.
So we get it together until we can make it work. And that's good maintenance practice, because we would have to have a warehouse for a district our size and try to preclude what we could possibly need next. So for example, while we have many of our physical plants operating similar brands, they're not the same models, the same sizes, the same energy ranges. We would have so many different parts. So I can tell you, I don't know that we've ever, even though it was in policy as a district, had a critical supplies inventory. We do have inventory of other consumable products and parts that we do use on a regular basis, though I wouldn't necessarily call them critical.
That
Okay.
would happen to
This
actually.
isn't saying that we have.
We
to
have
them.
that.
This isn't saying that we have to have them in stock. This is just saying we need to know what they are.
No, it says a critical spare
No,
parts inventory.
inventory.
Inventory. means
Inventory
how many
means
you
what
have.
we have on hand.
And that's just money sitting there,
Correct.
just waiting.
That's wasting
Right.
money, yeah. No,
All right, and then going on to the last page, the opposite side of the policy, we are striking director of facilities, putting supervisor of ground. I mean, but although before we said superintendent or designee, so maybe we should just continue that into there and just put
No,
no?
each school principal in conjunction with building grounds,
Oh,
building
yes, okay.
shall
That's,
conduct a
yeah,
physical inspection of the building on a quarterly basis and return a written report to the supervisor of grounds and environmental services and the board as the findings of that inspection.
okay, that, I get that then. Okay, sounds good. Questions on that one?
No.
Moving right along, 708, lending of equipment and books. School equipment may be removed from school property by students, staff members only when such equipment is necessary to accomplish tasks relevant to the school or job responsibilities. Prior approval of the building principal or immediate supervisor is required for such removal. We struck the user of the school district owned equipment shall be fully liable for any damage or loss occurring in the equipment during the period of its time or use, be responsible for its safe return. I think that was somewhere else in there, isn't it? No.
Well, no, we struck that because this policy had a component of it years back that allowed people to just borrow school equipment, not for school district use. So like right now, this would be DECA is going to a presentation, so they take with them the projector, let's say. We allowed that I'm having a family reunion and I need the projector for my family reunion years ago. In that allowance for my personal use, there was a clause in there saying that if I damage it while using it personally, I am responsible for it. What we're saying is that if our teachers and students are taking this on behalf of district kind of goals and it breaks,
They're responsible.
they're not
They're
responsible.
not.
Oh, they're not responsible.
Just like if a teacher drops their laptop accidentally, they're not responsible.
Okay. Okay. Oh, and I still think that they should be responsible for something. I mean, so anything happens is okay. I mean,
We're just saying that as long as it's not
negligible.
negligent
For sure.
use.
For sure.
If it's negligence, then
sure.
you can
I-
be held responsible.
Absolutely. I was behind a student one day in a different district who was mad and threw his Chromebook out the window as I was driving on a highway. Yes, they would be responsible for that.
We're
That's
actually saying.
exactly what I was thinking.
If they're traveling and their instrument in the U-Haul truck falls over
That's one.
and
yeah.
breaks, they're not
Yeah.
responsible
Yeah.
for it.
If-
Dr. Vitale,
But
my brain's turning.
bottom line
What's
here
wrong?
says you can't even borrow it.
No, that's not what it says.
Says,
It's just
right,
for personal.
removal of school equipment from school property for personal use by the staff or students is prohibited.
Correct,
So they can't even, for personal use, they can't even take it.
correct.
Right.
So there will be no family reunion.
That's right,
Correct.
that's what's
And
saying,
that's okay.
that's what it's saying, yeah, okay.
Eric,
Would, A thought that's coming to mind that I don't know was considered when this PSBA draft was reviewed is how this changing clause here could conflict possibly with or impact our technology department's use and
Exactly.
billings for Chromebooks and other items that do get damaged that are currently fiscally responsible items for the party that uses them. Would it be detrimental if we just held this and looked at policy 815 and the surrounding policies with our tech director before we do that?
I'm okay with that.
I think
I
that.
just thought of it at this moment, sitting here
No,
listening to
I'm
the
sorry, 'cause
scenarios.
we're saying they're not, but other, yeah. I
There are
agree.
Chromebook
I'm okay.
obligations every day in the district for various reasons. And the
Correct.
other policy, it's not that the board can't change it, but we should probably make sure that it doesn't conflict with something buried in one of those very lengthy
That's-
policies.
I
Good
would,
idea.
that's a good idea.
Table it,
So we'll
please.
table, we're gonna pull, are you okay with, this will have to be tabled, because we're not really voting on this, we're just discussing it.
Right, we'll bring it back.
We'll bring it back next week, can you have that for next month, please?
We will.
Going on to 710, which is use of facilities by staff. The board I'll read the authority. The board establishes the school equipment and facilities may be used by school district staff for personal reasons, may not be used by school district staff or for personal reasons, either on or off school property without explicit authorization or administrative permission. The board specifically prohibits personal use of school districts' telephones, personal use of materials, tools, supplies, and equipment, and personal use of school district vehicles. And then going on, school district facilities and equipment are available for staff use only if such use is, and then is added in accordance with provisions of an applicable collective bargaining agreement, or such use is clearly within the authorization granted in board policy.
So this allows our collective bar,
I apologize. Which one early? I can't.
we're
see.
710.
Mine doesn't have all that.
It's 710 use of facilities by staff.
Yeah, mine doesn't, mine only has. Okay.
He read the entire policy.
I read the entire policy just to clarify what it was talking about.
Okay, because I'm just looking at what I have and it's only, all right, we're good.
I read the authority and then in the guidelines we have
He read
in.
all the
And
words.
then he just kept going.
I kept going.
Yeah. I don't have. the
I'm
rest.
sorry.
Okay.
It's not a long policy. It's done. Basically, this is just saying that you can't use equipment for personal use, basically.
Correct.
Any questions on that?
Nope.
I mean, I mean, these are older policies, right? I mean, these were since like,
2002.
so we're talking 23 years old. I mean, some of these policies, I don't like,
We've processed through many of them.
I know, I mean, but I'm saying like,
You've done a
why,
good job.
like, why do we even,
Yeah.
This
I know.
Hold on.
all right. I don't know why there's certain policies, why do, it should be expected, but I guess you have to have it written down somewhere.
I've got 240.
Oh, we're on 716,
Hold
we're
on.
on my,
Hold on one second, Keith.
huh? I'm sorry?
So
I said I have,
did I hear phone in there? So if I call someone in the district and I call
Oh.
them on their district phone.
You're in violation of policy, Deb.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Policy 717 addresses that question more specifically, and I think you'll find a satisfactory answer.
Okay.
717.
It'll be acceptable.
But-
Okay.
But
Costing-
again,
We're not
is it
going over
costing
that.
the district anything.
We're not going
Right.
over that one here.
It's not here, correct, but I'm just responding since that was a concern, 717.
He's telling me not to worry.
you are not breaking policy.
I am not breaking policy. It's somewhere else.
More accurately, I'm saying, read the policy and you'll know if you're violating it. I don't think. you
I
are.
think all this is doing, Deb, is laying the groundwork to say that, hey, if you have a district supplied cell phone, you're to use it for what you're supposed to use it for, not what you shouldn't be using it for,
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Making a quick call home because there's no cell phone coverage or something like that and utilizing, that's different.
I mean, it's just like, it just says school district telephones, doesn't say cell phones.
Right.
No.
So I
So
mean, if you
that's
call.
Well, in
if you
this
call-
day and age, yeah, I
if you
guess,
call from a
yeah.
classroom and so on, I think you refer back to that.
Yeah.
So,
We'll go with
okay,
that.
well,
I think these policies, before she edited them, had rotary phone in there, so.
Correct.
I mean, this is before cell
Smoke
phone.
signal and carrier pigeon.
This is when dial-up was internet.
Mhm.
All right, this is my favorite policy of the evening, integrated pest management.
Yes.
This is almost as exciting as sanitation.
It just talks, I'll read the authority of the board. The board establishes the school district shall use pesticides only after consideration of the full range of alternatives based on analysis of environmental effects, safety, effectiveness, and costs. The board shall adopt an integrated pest management plan for school district buildings and grounds that complies with policies and regulations promulgated by the Department of Agriculture. We're adding the board shall designate an employee to serve as the IPM coordinator for the school district.
And that has been done through a job description for the supervisor of environmental services.
Okay,
Excellent.
we're striking the board shall designate the employee. Oh, wait, we just added that. We're just moving it up.
Above, to a side.
So then we're striking superintendent and saying IPM coordinator. And then it goes further. The IPM coordinator shall maintain detailed records of all chemical pest control treatments for at least 3 years. Information regarding pest management activities shall be available to the public at the district's administrative office. I just have a question. Anyone have a question, or can I ask my question first? Where do we come up with 3 years? Is there a statute of limitations for records? I thought something was, I'm thinking it should be longer than 3 years, because if we have a lawsuit, I think a student can have till they're 21 to sue us. So,
Depends on the nature of the complaint. We have to maintain the record for the student record specifically well beyond their 21st birthday.
okay, but I'm thinking like,
We have to have a cutoff, so please realize how many records
no, I know.
we as a district hold. And what do we value?
Well, in most cases, we're not doing the work anyway. We're having a licensed exterminator do the spraying for us.
I would.
We have an exterminator.
So the Integrated Pest Management Code, Pennsylvania's code, specifies that we're to retain those records only 3 years. So we have a records retention schedule that varies. Some records are 7 years when they're
Okay, so
financial.
we're referencing the code for, okay, as long as we're referencing the code, that's.
Yeah, it's,
See that number 6 right next to it? If you.
Yeah, I
click on
see
the
that.
link When you're on the actual thing, it'll take you right to
No.
the school code.
Right to
And it
school
does say 3 years.
Oh, see that, if I use my computer, I might be able to see it better. I did
It's
look.
not all about paper, Mr. Carcott.
Touche,
Okay, I got that one.
touche. Okay, then we took that, moved it over at the end. Any questions on this policy?
No.
All right, and then we are through our work presently. Moving on to public participation. Anyone online, Anthony? Anyone in the? No one, you want to say anything just for?
You're doing a great job, Mr. Cole.
Thank you. All right, moving right along then. I motion to authorize and direct the administration to post the following items, which is what is it now? We're gonna post 603 budget preparation with the notes revisions for public review during the month of February and subsequent board action in March.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye.
Keith, what about the other 700?
Yeah, what about the other?
Oh.
Exception of
4,
708.
5? Are we
Oh,
gonna do that
yeah,
one
I thought,
separately?
yeah, we have to, okay, yeah, we're gonna add, I thought we didn't have to add those because we're not voting on, we are voting on.
We are.
Okay, so we're gonna add 701 facilities planning, 703 sanitary management,
Yep.
704 maintenance,
Yep.
710 use of facilities by staff, and 716
Yes.
integrated pest management.
I amend my
Will you amend your motion?
motion to
Okay.
include every one of those.
Thank you.
numbers.
I'm sorry, I'm
Second
just so
that
excited to be through the meeting.
And I
I just got
second it.
delirious.
Second.
Watching your.
Any all in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Hold on,
to,
before we adjourn, Deb, we are getting close to reviewing all.
We're on our last 20 that are out.
So we
there.
have about
That
20 left to
previous-
review that
prior
haven't
to
been
15.
reviewed within the last few years.
That's amazing.
From 2015, there's about 20 more left and that's it. We're done.
So as a committee, just start thinking about, as we get to the last 20, if we bring 5 or 6 a month, do we need to meet monthly once we get through through these 20, or perhaps we meet at a less regular cadence based on PSBA's?
I am fine with that.
Okay.
I
Well,
second that.
Unless
maybe-
you need to have us meet for some specific reason, there's no reason to meet just to meet.
Just
Right.
to meet.
Well, how about you and I discuss, if you see something we should discuss, I would call the other committee members and we'll call them.
Maybe set up a quarterly meeting to go over the PSBA recommendation
Come out quarterly.
after we get through these 20. Just wanted to throw it out there.
Sometimes they'll come out a little frequent, you know,
Yeah,
depending
but
on
as
what's out there, but as needed.
That sounds.
Okay, good. That's a very good suggestion.
I second
Every
that
once in a
suggestion.
while. I have a good idea.
Okay, so now motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, everybody, for attending,
Sorry. I was
and
late.
thank you people online that are watching this after the fact. Good night.